suppose you have a processor here. There are three types of system bus actually.
कि भाई
This
फीफरिस्ट
is my
थामना
8086.
फीफरिस्ट
86. And what are the buses here? So there are three types of buses. This is the first bus. Okay. So suppose this is an address bus. Address bus. And then there is another type of bus. Second type. This is called data bus. Okay. So what is the other type? What is the third one? Can you say?
Control bus.
What is the other type? Control bus.
Control bus.
Okay, so these are the three types of buses, and we have memory here, memory device.
Control bus.
Okay, so these are the three types of buses, and we have memory here, memory device. Okay, so these are the three types of buses. Suppose, and maybe we have input device. We have memory here, memory device. You can write IO. So these are the three types of buses. Suppose, and maybe we have another out. We have memory here, memory device. So you can write IO. So these are the three types of buses. Suppose, and maybe we have another out. We have memory here, memory device. So you can write IO. So these are the three types of buses. Suppose,
So how
and maybe
you're
we have
connecting
another. We
those
have buses, memory
the
here, memory device. External devices, memory input, output devices. So first one is the memory, right? So memory is address. Processor always send address to the memory device, so it will send address here. Okay. And what about input device? So input device also processor will send address to the input device. Okay, so it will send address bus will send address. And then what about output device? So in output device also processor will send address. Okay. What about input output device? So here also the processor will send address. Okay, so we are done with address bus. Next, let's go to what is that? Data bus. So data bus, so memory data can read and data can write. So that is a two-way communication. It can send data, it can receive data. So data here and here. Yeah. When you come to the input, then what is the direction of arrow from data bus to the input device? So input will send data, right? Now when you go to the output, what will be the direction here? Say, what will be the direction here? It will be like this. So it will be the output. Then when you go to the input output, it will be something like this. Okay. After that, let's move to the control bus. So in control bus, control signal will send from the processor to the peripheral. So this control signal will goes from processor to the peripheral. And for input, also control signal will goes to the processor to peripherals. So Okay, so if you come to the output, what will happen? For output also, the control signal will go processor to peripheral, and for input output also will go to the processor to peripheral. Okay, so that is the bus structure. So there are three types of, these are called system bus. There are three types of system bus. One is called address bus, data bus, and control bus. So how, if the question is something like that, how processor connects to the external devices, then you can say that processor connects to the external devices or peripheral devices through system bus using the system bus. So the microprocessor communicates with memory and input output using the system bus. So you can write that the microprocessor communicates with what? So the microprocessor communicates with memory, and I/O devices, through what? Through communicates with memory and input output devices through or using, you can write through or using, both are similar thing, same thing actually, using system bus, right? Using the system buses. Okay, so communicates with input output devices, memory devices through system buses. So how many types of system buses are there? What are the types of system buses? How many of you have joined so far? Okay. So what are those types of system buses are there? Suppose first one is the called address bus. Okay? So address bus number one. Address bus. Okay, so address bus. So address bus is unidirectional, so memory to peripherals. The direction is memory to peripherals. So it is the uni. And direction is the processor, peripheral devices. Peripheral means memory, input, output. These are called peripheral devices. So processor to peripheral. What is the spelling of peripheral? Peripheral devices. Okay. What it actually performs? So it transfer memory and input output addresses. What it transfer? This address bus transfer, and direction is the processor transfer memory and input output addresses. Okay, the next one is the data bus. So let's talk about data bus here. Data bus. So this data bus is unidirectional or bidirectional? So this is bidirectional, right?
Yes, sir.
Data bus is bidirectional. Okay, so what is the direction? So if you look at here, data goes from, so direction is bidirectional here. So that you can send data to the memory devices, and you can receive data from the memory devices as well. So that's why data bus is called bidirectional. So you can say this is to and from processor. it goes to the processor and it comes from the processor as well. So there are two directions. So that's why it is called bidirectional. Bidirectional. So to and from the processor, to and from the processor. Okay. So you can processor can receive data as well as processor can send data. So what does it transfer? Any idea? Anybody can say what does it transfer? I mean what processor transfer to data bus? Say anybody? Someone there? Can you say it? Okay, so to and from the processor, what does it transfer? It transfer is the first point. The second point says it transfers binary data and instruction. Okay, transfer binary data and instructions. That is what it transfers. So it transfers binary data as well as instruction. Okay, what is the last one? Last one is the control bus. So control bus. So number 3. That is the control bus.
Sir, data bus একটু লেখা দাও বাকি ছিল।
Okay. Take screenshot, no problem. You can write. Yes, it's better to write.
স্ক্রিনশট নিলে ফাইটা যায় পরে। আচ্ছা দাঁড়ান।
Yeah, it's better to write because when you take screenshot, it may go somewhere and you can find it, or it may delete it accidentally. So it's better to write always. And when you write, actually, intelligence connected. I mean, the understanding or how human understand, that's connected with hand to brain. When you write by something by your hand, you'll understand more, because definitely when you just listen, so you are just listening, and when you are writing, you are writing and listening. So your brain getting signal from two parts, one from your ear and another from your eye, another from your hand. So you are engaging more, I mean, more organ to send signal in the brain. That's why you learn more. You can keep it in memory for a longer time. So when you write, and those who don't write, they cannot normally they cannot keep that much long. And that's why it's better to
স্যার
write.
এগুলো রেখে দিলে পরবর্তীতে আর লেখা হয় না, ফোনেরটা ফোনেই থাকে আর পড়াও হয় না।
Exactly. I am 100%. I mean, agree with you. So it's always better to write. So when you write something, then it will remain your memory. So that is like the scientific fact. You can search in Google. You can just write how human beings learn. So there are several learning steps. So when you write something, you learn more. That is the outcome of the research. And when you write in color, also affect the learning process. Color, I mean, several types of color. When you write in color pencil, then it will stay. I mean, it has more effect than normal black, only black. That's why. Yeah, you are right. So that is the research outcome I read from somewhere in the somewhere in the Google. I also see the YouTube video regarding that. There are lots of YouTube videos. And okay, now last one is the control bus number 3. Control bus. It's very normal, because when whatever you are going to write, you are sending signal in 3 ways. Your ear is sending signal, your eyes is sending signal, your hand is also sending signal. So that's has more impact actually. Not only any class, not only this class, any class. That is the general thing. So control bus. So control bus is bidirectional. Okay, what it sends actually? It sends read and write signal. Okay, so read and write timing signal. So whether something is going to read, some instruction is going to be read, or some instruction is going to be write. Read and write timing signal. Okay, that is the task of control bus. It sends read signal and write signal. Okay, now we are discussing the microprocessor, but okay, what is happening? Oh, skip a two page. We skip. That is the problem. We skip two pages. Can you imagine? There is the first one. Yeah, this is the second one. This is the first one. First, second. No, nothing there. Then third. Then fourth. Okay. So far, whatever we have discussed, those are the general discussion on microprocessor, computer system, evolution of microprocessor, and evolution of IC technology. How we get this kind of IC technology, that is the evolution process. Now let's go to a specific discussion of 8086 architecture. So 8086 microprocessor architecture. Architecture. Okay. Okay, so I actually don't want to write here HH. That is the general for microprocessor. So you can write micro P. That's better. Okay, so what is 8086? 8086 processor is nothing but a CPU, right? We already know that. So 8086 processor is nothing but a CPU. 8086 microprocessor is nothing but a CPU. Okay, that is the number one point. Now the second point says CPU. What is CPU? CPU is the like human has brain, and brain can function everything. Similar way, in computer, CPU is the brain, and CPU can perform all the tasks. That's why you can say CPU is the brain of a computer. So that is what you can write. CPU, the brain of a computer. Computer. Okay. So what is the task of a brain? It controls everything, right? So it controls the computer by executing programs stored in the memory. What is the task of CPU? CPU controls. So what is the task of CPU? It controls the computer by executing programs stored in the memory. So programs are normally stored in the memory, and those programs can be executed by the CPU. So that's why you can say it controls the computer. It controls the computer by executing programs stored in the where program is stored memory. Okay, stored in the memory. Okay, so number three point is very important. So it says 16-bit. 8086 is a, you know that 8086 is a 16-bit processor, right? 8086 is a 16-bit processor, 16-bit microprocessor, 8086. So now, if someone asks you, what do you mean by 16-bit processor? What is the essence of being 16-bit? What is the difference between the 16-bit processor and 32-bit processor? What is the difference between 32-bit and 64-bit? So what are the difference between 16-bit processor, 32-bit processor, and 64-bit processor? Okay. So there are two main points here. So 16-bit processor, what that means? It has 16 data lines exposed to outside. How many data lines 16-bit processor has? It has 16 data lines exposed to outside. That is the number one, point number one. What do you mean by 16-bit processor? It has 16 data lines exposed to outside. You can write has 16 data lines exposed to outside. OUT outside. Okay, that is the point number one. So if someone tell what about 32-bit, so then it has 32 data lines exposed to outside. What about 64-bit? It has 64 data lines exposed to outside. Data lines are the buses through which data can transmit. Okay, those are the buses. And what about what is the other point? Other point is all internal registers are 16-bit long. Internal registers are 16-bit long. Okay, so all internal registers are 16-bit long. So if you say 32-bit, then all internal registers are 32-bit long. I mean, see, all internal registers are 16-bit long. That means it has 16-bit, 0 to 15, right? So all internal registers are 16-bit. Bit number 0, bit number 1, dot dot dot. What is the last bit number here? Can you say here? Bit number 15, right? So 0 to bit 15. So those are the registers. That is the registers length. All internal registers. Whatever number of registers has, all internal registers are 16-bit long. Can you say how many registers in 8086 processor has? Aslam Mondal, how many registers 8086 processor has? Can you say that? Aslam, cannot hear you. Ahmedullah,
Yes, sir. I'm here.
how many registers are there in 8086? Can you say that?
I have no idea, but registers, maybe 16 bit is register.
Yeah, all registers are 16 bit, but how many are there? Okay,
Uh,
so there are
I have no
how
idea.
many? Okay, no idea. But you have idea, right? All bit, all registers are 16-bit. That idea you have, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but there are 14 registers. Okay, we'll discuss that later. There are 14 registers, but right now remember that all registers are 16-bit. That's why we are calling it is 16-bit processor. Okay, so now next point. So we are talking about 8086 microprocessor architecture. Point number four. Point number four says the 8086 has a 16-bit data bus. 8086 has 8086 has a 16-bit data bus. Okay, data bus. So 16-bit data bus and a 20-bit address bus. and a 20-bit address bus. So 8086 also has 16-bit data bus and 20-bit address bus. So now how much internal memory 8086 has? So it has 20-bit address bus. So if you want to calculate the internal memory for 8086, how much internal memory? It has 20-bit address bus. So 20-bit address bus means 20 bit. The address has 20 bit. So you can say starting address. What will be the starting address? Can you say that? It has 20-bit address bus. So starting address. What will be the starting address? Starting address should be 00000 hex, right? Is that clear? And what will be the ending address? Can you say that? Ending address. Anybody? Mazharul Islam?
111.
Yeah, 21. So 21 we are writing in hex, so 5F. Okay, that is the ending address. So it has 20-bit address bus. So that's why starting address is 50 hex and ending address is 5F F hex 5F hex. Okay, that is the starting address and ending address. Okay. Okay, now if you want to calculate how much internal memory there, so then you have to look at how many address. You have to apply the combination formula. This is the starting address and this is the ending address. And if you apply the combination formula, you get the total internal memory of 8086. Combination formula. Formulas. Okay, so if you apply combination formula, then you get total internal memory. So let's apply that. So calculate the internal memory of 8086. Okay. So you have 20 bit there. So you know that is 20 bit. So how can you express 20 bit? So suppose 1448. Okay, suppose this is the 20 bit. So here is bit can be 2, right? It can be bit means binary digit. You already know that. What is bit? Bit is nothing but 0 or 1 and 1. So these are bit means binary digit. So you have 20 bits here. So you can say if you apply combination formula, there are 20 slots. First slot, second, third, fourth slot. There are 20 slots. So according to the combination formula, each slot has two possibility. So in total, 2 into 2 into 2, something like that. So into 2, dot, 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 dot. The possibility will be multiplied here, right? Into 2. So then you get 2 to the power 20. Okay, so 2 to the power 20. So 2 to the power 20 internal memory. So we are going to count how much internal space are there. 2 to the power 20 bytes actually. So equal 2 to the power 20 bytes. So that is 1048576 bytes. Okay, bytes. Now you know that 10, 24 bytes equal 1 megabyte, right? One kilobyte. Then 10, 24 kilobyte equal 1 megabyte. So if you divide this by 1024, okay, no, 1048576 by 1024 kilobyte. So how much kilobyte you get here? How much in kilobyte?
Thirteen twenty
1024.
four.
1024, right?
Yes, sir.
Kilobyte. Then if you divide this 1024 by again 1024,
1 megabyte.
1 megabyte.
you get megabyte. So you get 1 MB. So that is 1 megabyte. So how much memory 8086 processor has? It has internal memory of 1 megabyte. So you have a box here. Suppose that is my memory, internal memory. Okay. So internal memory is 1 megabyte. So internal memory means RAM and ROM. Okay, so 1 megabyte here. So 00 and ending address FFX. Okay. So in between we have 1 megabyte of memory. Now that is point number 3. We are sorry, point number 4. We discussed point number 4. Now if you go to the point number 5, so what is in point number 5? So how much input, how much input output ports 8086 can support? So 8086 processor can support up to 64,000 input output ports. It can support up to how many input output ports it can support? It can support up to 64K input output ports. How we are getting that? Because it is a 16-bit processor. 2 to the power 16 equal, if you calculate that, you get 64,000, 64K. So if you want to calculate how much input output ports 32-bit processor can support, then you will write 2 to the power 34. So it can support up to 64K input output. Okay, we don't need to write all input output thing. We can write in short input output ports. Okay, so that is point number 5. So it can support up to 64K input output ports. Okay, that is point number 5. Then we have point number 6. So how many registers 8086 processor has? That is point number 6. So 8086, this processor has 14 registers. It has 14 registers. Registers, and all registers are 16, all 16 bit, okay, all 16 bit long. Those 14 registers, all 16 bit long. Okay. Now it has also
This
yes.
is the internal register.
Yeah, it has registers, 14 internal registers,
Oh,
and all registers are 16-bit long. Okay. Now it has multiplexed address and data bus. It has address and data bus. It has address bus as well as data bus. Okay.
Time is going to finish maybe 40
Okay,
minutes.
then
Can we
please
take
take, yes, please take screenshot. This one, yeah, take this one screenshot. Done.
Sir, last one, please.
together?
Okay. Okay. Done. Hello.
Sir, last page,
Yes,
sir.
Okay, last one, last one. Okay. Okay, we're running out of time. We'll join after when you join immediately, no problem. Join.
the second last piece, sir.
This one?
This one, sir.
To 80, 15. And A16 to A19. Okay, so multiplex address and data bus. That means multiplex, that means actually same bus can be acted as a address bus and data bus. If you look at 80, so 0 to 15, how many there are? 16, right? So 80 to 8015. So in total there are 16 buses. So these 16 buses, they can act as an address bus. That's why they're called AD. A means address, D means data. they can act as an address bus. They can send address as well as they can send data. So an address continues for 20 bit. So 20 bit, we already said that address bus is 20 bit. So that's why we need 4 extra bit to send address. So A16 to A19. These are the 4 extra bit for address. So 80 to 8015, those act as address bus as well as data bus. And we have 4 extra A16 to A19. Okay. So A16 to A19. That is for, I mean, that is for address. That is for address. So we already said that address is 16 bit, right? Address is 16 bit. So that's why we need these 4 bit extra. So you will understand this. There are 20 bit in total. So I mean, within that 20, I mean, 16 bit can be acted as a data bus as well as address bus, 80 to 8016. And if 16 to A19, these only acted as a address bus, because address bus is total 20 bit and data bus is total 16 bit. And this is, you can find, if you see the pin diagram of 8086 processor, just see it. You can search it in Google, or you can buy it and from the market, and you can check. There are 16, I mean, pin to transmit data. You can just write pin diagram of 8086 and you can check that. Pin diagram of 8086. 8086 microprocessor. Just write in Google and you'll see there are 80 to G15. There are 16 pin to transmit data and address, and there are extra pin. Okay, so it has multiplexed address and data bus 80 to A15, A16 to A19. Okay, very good. Okay. And okay, after that, okay, so it requires plus 5 volt supply to operate. That is another point. So point number 7.
It's 0.8, sir, maybe.
It requires 5 volts power supply. Okay, so 8086 is a IC, and this IC operates at plus 5 volt power supply. If it is more than 5 volt, that will damage the IC. If it is more than 5 volt. It is more. Okay. Now, okay, so this is point number 8. Okay, point number 9. Okay, so point number 9, you already know that what is I mean, what is the range of address? So addresses range means starting address to ending address. So addresses range from starting. What is the starting address? Starting address is 50 to 5F. So addresses ranges from address ranges from 50x to 5fx. Okay, this is your assignment. Okay. Just draw the pin diagram and explain each and every pin. Okay, number 10. So there are, okay, programs. So program can be classified as 2 types. One is system program, and those system program are written in ROM, and those cannot be changed.
Uma,
Programs
খাওয়ানটা দিও।
Program can be two types. Okay. Number one, system program. And system programs are non-volatile. You cannot change those programs, and those programs are written in ROM. System program. System program. Okay. And the second one is the application program written by user. So whatever program user going to write, those are called application program. Okay, so I give you a definition. That is your task to study this definition. What is called firmware? Firmware. What is firmware? Study book, and it is written in the book. Okay, so system program, and the second one is application program written by user. Written by users. Okay, so application programs are written by users. So if you you already know that instruction or program are basically what? Basically bit string, combination of bits. Instruction or program are basically bit string. For Intel 8086, instruction are from 1 to 6 byte long. So what is instruction? Instruction or programs are basically bit string. Instruction or programs are basically bit string, string. Instructional programs are basically bit string. For example, for Intel 8086, instructions are from 1 to 6 bytes long. So for Intel 8086, instruction are 1 to 6 byte long. And what this kind of instruction looks like, if you want to get an example, it is nothing but the combination of zeros and ones. That is the example. Okay, so these languages of zeros and ones are called machine language or opcode. This and ones are called machine language. Okay, there is, so machine language is nothing but the combination of opcode plus data, right? So machine language means opcode. Already said that, I think. Opcode plus data. Together it is called machine language. Okay, so can you say how many components of 8086, how many main components of 8086 processor has? Anyone? Hafiza Khatun, say it.
Sir,
Yes, how many main components 8086 processor has? What are the main components?
so 0 and 1.
No, I said components. What are the main components? I mean, of 8086 processor.
What it is, sir?
Can you say it? How many main components 8086 processor has?
Sir, 8, sir.
Okay, so there are two main components of 8086 processor has. Okay?
Transistor.
No, I am saying what are the building block of 8086 processor. Transistor, I mean transistor, yeah, transistor is there. There are lots of transistor. Those are not main components. There are, I mean,
Two, sir.
600 crore transistor, right? 600 crore transistor, then 600, you are saying 600 main components. That is not, I mean, an understandable thing, right? 600, it cannot be, I mean, 6 crore main component. It is not possible. So 8086 microprocessor has two main components. So what are
Bus
those main?
interference unit.
Yes. Bus number one is the bus interface unit, and
The execution unit.
yes, so bus interface
Execution unit, sir.
unit. In short, we call it EIU. And the number two,
And EU.
EU, execution unit.
Execution unit.
That is called EU. Yeah, you can look at in, I mean, in Google. Just write the architecture of 8086, internal architecture of 8086 processor. Then you get the internal architecture. There are two main components. One is called bus interface unit and execution unit. Also, this is given in the book. The diagram is also given in the book. You can look at the diagram. So there are two main components. So we like to discuss these two main components in more detail. In more details. So there are two units: bus interface unit and execution unit. So let's discuss that. Okay, first let's talk about bus interface unit. So I mean, we're talking about the micro P, right? Microprocessor, and you know that is microprocessor connected with output device, and it is connected with input device, and also it's connected with memory devices, memory. Okay, and we're talking about this micro P, this one. We're talking about this one, and this one has two units. One is bus interface unit, and other is execution unit. Now let's talk about bus interface unit. Okay, so what are there in bus interface unit? So bus interface unit, actually it is responsible for the maintaining the communication. Suppose when you put some data through input device, that data first goes to the bus interface unit, and then bus interface unit basically stores those data. When user puts some instruction, those instruction first goes to the bus interface unit, and bus interface unit first stores those data, and then later it transmits those data to the execution unit, and execution unit basically performs the operation. So that means bus interface unit brings the instruction from the external or peripheral devices. What are the external or peripheral devices? Input devices, output devices, memory devices. These are known as external or peripheral devices, right? So what is the task of bus interface unit then? So it brings data from the external or peripheral devices, and then it stores those data, and then after that it can also transmit those data. So that is the main task of bus interface unit. So in short, you can say that bus interface unit maintains communication between execution and input-output circuit, right? So it maintains communication between execution unit and input-output or memory circuit. So that is the number. So let's point number one in bus interface unit. What bus interface unit does? It maintains communication that's why it is called bus interface. It is interfacing between buses. Bus means where, right? Where to transmit data. There are three types of system buses we already discussed. So maintains communication between EE, execution unit, and IO circuit, input output circuit. What that means? It means that it is responsible for transmitting addresses, data, and control signal on the buses. It means you can write IE. It is like, for example, so it is responsible for what? Responsible for transmitting addresses, data, and control signals on the buses. So it transmit address, data, and control signal on the buses. Okay, so what is bus? I think you already know what is bus, right? So if you want to know the definition of bus, what is bus? Let me give you the definition of bus. We already discussed bus. I think you already know there are three types of buses, system buses. Now, if you ask what is buses, a set of wire or connection connecting the CPU, memory, and input-output ports. What is bus? Okay, let's write down the sub-definition in small. What is bus? A set of wires or connection, set of wire or connections connecting the CPU. What that connects? Bus, CPU, memory, and IO ports, all connected by what? All connected by bus. If there is no bus, there will be no connection. Connecting the CPU, memory, and IO ports, input output ports. Memory and input output ports. Okay, that is the bus. And what is memory? Memory is nothing but a circuit that can store data. If you want to write what is memory, a circuit that can store data. Store data. Okay, so that is okay. So point number one. What is the task of bus interface unit? It communicates between. It maintains the communication between all the different sections. Like, what are those sections here? CPU, memory, and input/output ports. These are the sections here. Yes. Okay. Then point number two. Point number two, you can elaborate. Elaborate the the task of bus interface unit. So it is maintaining the communication. So in other way, you can say that bus interface unit handles all data and addresses on the buses for execution unit, right? So all data and addresses on the buses, those data and addresses can be handled by bus interface unit, and that is for what? That is for execution unit. What bus interface unit does in basically, so it face instruction, right? So bus operation includes instruction facing. Face means bring. It can bring instruction from the input devices, right? And that is what it called face. So it can bring instruction. It is face instruction. It can read instruction and it can write instruction. Okay, so BIU handles all the data and addresses on the buses. BIU handles all the data addresses on the buses. On the buses for what? For the execution unit, okay? For the EU. All the 10 addresses on the buses for EU. Okay. For EU, all the data and addresses for EU. So what are the bus operation? Bus operation includes instruction facing, instruction reading, and instruction writing, right? So bus operation, you can say IE. Operation includes instruction facing instruction facing reading writing operands. So what is operands? Can you say what is operands? Anyone? Hey, Mahmudur Rahman Ridoy, say what is operand? Mahmudur Rahman Ridoy, are you there? Yes or no? Ibrahim?
So plus, minus, division, multiplication, these are operands.
Yes, operand means data. Okay, operand means data. You can give a side note here. Data to be acted on the operation. So it can read instruction. It can face. Face means bring. Anoyan kora. It can face instruction, read instruction, write instruction for memory. And calculating the addresses of the memory operand. It can also calculate the addresses or the addresses of a specific data. Data are stored in the memory, and each memory has address. That's why to store data, you have to access address, memory address. So that's what can performed by the bus interface unit. It can also calculate in which address which data will be stored. That's why you can say calculating the addresses of the memory operand or memory data, and calculating calculating the addresses memory operands memory operands. Okay, so how many registers are there in bus interface unit? Any idea? How many registers are there in bus interface unit? Email Abu Jihad. How many registers are there in bus interface unit? Say. Email Abu Jihad.
Yes, sir.
Say how many registers are there in bus interface unit?
14.
Total 14, but not all inside bus interface unit. Some registers are inside execution. And Himal Mia, are you there? Himal Mia, where are you? Himal,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes, say how many registers are there in bus interface unit? Anybody has any idea regarding that? Anyone?
Four.
Sir, maybe 5.
Yes, 5, right. Thank you. Suraya. Suraya is good. Who said that, Suraya?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are actually 5 registers. There are in total 14 registers in a processor, and among those 5 are online talking. Why don't you invite? Okay.
email address টা username টা চেঞ্জ করতে হবে ওকে ভাই ওকে হবে
সাব্বির ভাই মাইক্রোফোনটা মিউট করেন।
Okay. So there are 5 registers in bus interface unit. Okay. So what are those? CS, GS, ESS. Okay, we are giving a preview. We may discuss these registers details in chapter 3. So point number 3 of bus interfacing. Its registers. How many registers are there? It has 5 registers. The registers are, what are the registers we have here? Its registers are CS, GS, ES, SS, and IP. Okay, so these are the 5 registers. These are called address registers. There are several types of registers: data registers, address registers, flag registers, right? So data registers, address registers, flag registers. These 5 are called address registers. They don't store data. They basically store the address of the data. I mean, what will be the address of that specific data, in which location that data is stored. Every location, remember that each and every location has some specific address. Suppose you live at your home, so you are the data and your home is the address of you. So you are the data. So these registers, they don't store data. That means they are not storing you, they are storing the address of your location. So that means wherever you are staying, they are storing that information. You are staying at Moimonshing. So that Moimonshing, that is the address. That is this register stores that address. That this data located inside that address, something like that. So that's why these are called address registers. So what is the task of address registers? They hold addresses for memory location. So that, okay, you can give a side note here. Task of address register. It said its registers are IP. These are address registers. What is address registers? Okay, so address registers. So address registers, those are holding addresses for memory location. Holds addresses for memory location. Memory location. So what is the definition of memory location? For our case, memory location is memory location. It means memory byte or word. And it can be double word. That can also be possible. But for our case, memory address location means memory byte or word for our case. So memory location means memory byte or word. Okay, is that clear? I think so. So its registers are CS, DS, CS, SS, and IP. And what is address register? These are address registers. So how many address registers? 5 address registers there. And whole address register holds addresses for memory location. They are not storing the data. They are storing the addresses of the data where the address is stored. That information. Okay, so segment registers. These four CS, DS, SS, and these four are called segment registers. This is called pointer registers. Okay, actually address has two parts, segment and offset. Segment register stores the segment part and pointer register stores the offset part, IP. So segment registers are used to address memory space. Point number 4. Segment. What are those segment registers? Registers are used to address memory space. Space. So what are there in memory space? We have memory space indicates RAM, ROM, IO space by the processor. That means input output space. By the processor. Used to address memory space. So segment registers. So segment registers are used to address memory space. And what are the segment registers? There are 4 segment registers. You can see here. Those are used to address memory space. Okay, now then IP, another register that is called pointer registers, that is called IP also. So what is the task of IP? Point number 5, we can write IP contains the addresses of the next instruction to be executed by the EU. Contains the addresses of the next instruction to be executed by the EU. EU means execution unit. So IP contains the addresses. IP contains there are two addresses, 2 parts. One is called segment, the other is called offset. So IP contains the offset address actually. So of the next instruction that is addressed by the EU. Okay. So how many bits are there in segment registers? Can you say that? How many bits are there? in segment registers? How many bits are there in segment registers? Any idea?
And maybe 8-bit.
No, I already said that all registers are 16-bit. How can you say 8-bit? I already said you before that all registers are 16-bit because that's why it is called 16-bit processor. So now you are saying segment registers are 8-bit. That is not good. So this is a 16-bit, right, processor? So that's why all
Yes,
registers
sir.
are 16 bits. So let's write that again. Whether it is segment or any other register doesn't matter. So you can write is segment registers is segment register is segment register registers or register is 16-bit long. That means each and every one of them. So we have CS, GS, ES, SS. Each and every one of them is 16-bit long. Now, okay. So I think we are running out of time. So take screenshot. Take screenshot. We are running out of time. Okay, everyone take screenshot. And it's better to write rather than taking screenshot. Let's talk about how segment registers actually storing the address. So different kind of segment registers are used to calculate address within 1 MB spaces. Okay. So point number 7. Point number 7. Let's write point number 7. So number 7, VII. So that's number 7. So in number 7, you can say that the different kind. How many kinds of segment registers are there? I mean, uh, how many types of segment registers are there? How many types? There are 4 types, right?
4 types.
Yes. So there are 4 types of segment registers. So these 4 types of okay. So if link does not work, in that case, you can write ID and password. Did I send you the ID and password? No.
Yes, sir. ID and password is on the link, sir.
Yeah. So you can go to the Zoom site and just open that tab and just write my meeting ID and password, and you can save it. And you can always, you don't have to click link anytime. You just save your ID and password, just remember it, then you can just put ID and password. Okay, so yeah, so okay, so if you don't have ID and password, you don't have ID and password, or you only have link. Okay. So okay, so how these 4 types of segment register are used to calculate addresses between 1 MB of memory space. So different kind of segment registers, the different kind of segment registers. Registers are what are used to calculate calculate the addresses within 1 megabyte. So we already said that we have 1 megabyte memory space. So these registers, these 4 types of registers, they are used to calculate the addresses within 1 megabyte of memory space. And you know the starting address is 50 and ending address is 5F. I mean 20 and 21. Ending address is 21, right? 1 megabyte memory space. Memory space. Okay, that is point number 7. Then if we go for point number 8. Okay, so actually to calculate address, you need 2 registers. One registers cannot calculate, I mean, total address. So to calculate address, you need 2 registers. So you need 2 registers to calculate address. So at least 2, because address is 20 bit. You already said that address is 20 bit, and each and every registers are 16 bit, right? So that's why you need 2 registers to calculate a single address or to store a single address. That's why segment and offset registers together, they are keeping their address. Segment and IP. IP is the offset register. So 2 16-bit registers are used to calculate, okay, 1 20-bit physical address within the, okay, so memory, 1 megabyte of memory space. So 2 16-bit registers are used two 16-bit registers are used to calculate 120-bit physical address. Okay, so this is called physical address. We will later discuss what do we mean by physical address. There are 2 types of address. So one is called physical address, another is called logical address. 120-bit physical address, which is output, close the door, which is output from from 80 to A19. Okay, so 2 16-bit registers are used to calculate 120-bit physical address, which is output from 80 to A19. Okay. Now we already we told that there are 2 types of address. One is called physical address, other one is called logical address. So physical address and logical address. So Now, from logical format to physical format, the part which convert the address from the logical format to physical format, that is called address compute engine. Address compute engine. Okay, so address compute engine. So what is the task of this address compute engine? So address compute engine. So it actually converts the logical address that is held by the segment register into a physical address exposed to outside. Exposed to outside means exposed to this pin AD02 A19. Okay. So what is the task of address compute engine? It converts the logical address that is held by what segment registers, right? Registers into a physical address exposed to outside. Okay. So address compute engine, how it starts? It converts the logical address that is held by the segment registers into a physical address exposed to outside. Okay, so one more thing I'd like to tell you that logical address, that is actually, this is a 16-bit address. 16-bit, and physical address, that is 20-bit address. Okay, an address compute engine, if you look at the diagram, so you see in diagram something like that. That is actually called the address compute engine. Okay, so next point, point number 10. Point number 10. So what point number 10 says? So you know that we have two units. One is called execution unit, that is perform all the execution, and other is the bus interface unit. Currently we are discussing the bus interface unit. So these EU and BU, they are connected by buses. Okay, so they are connected by internal buses. So EU and BIU, EU means execution unit, BIU are connected by internal buses. Okay, these two units are connected by what? They are connected by internal buses. Now, when execution unit performs an instruction, what BIU does? BIU brings instruction, right? We already said that. When execution unit performs some instruction, BIU brings next instruction and places them to the instruction queue. There is a place in BIU that is called instruction queue, and they keep the new instruction there. So you can say while the EU or while the EU is executing an instruction, what BIU does, the BIU traces up to 6 bytes next instruction.
Sir, who is the noise is coming, sir?
Yes, some construction work is going on. I mean, that's
Oh.
why Its noise is coming.
It's okay, sir.
Next instruction and place them in instruction queue. Okay, so instruction queue. So place them in instruction queue, 6 bytes of instruction. Now you have to know how the instruction queue, what is the instruction queue. So instruction queue is the temporary storage inside PIU where 6 bytes of data are stored. Okay, so if you look at the figure, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 6 bytes of instruction. This is called instruction queue. In short, you can write IQ, instruction queue, where the 6 bytes, this is inside the BIU, where 6 bytes of new instruction are stored. When EU performs the old instruction, new instruction are already there and stored in the instruction queue inside BIU. So why we need instruction queue? Actually, the execution unit is faster. The execution unit performs very fast. That's why we need instruction queue and store the next instruction and to the instruction queue. So that's why as the execution unit is faster compared to the bus interface unit or compared to the other peripheral devices, input device, output device, memory devices, we need time to send instruction from the peripheral devices, from the input devices to the processor. That's why instruction queue is there to help to speed up the operation. If there is no instruction queue and if we don't store the next instruction to the instruction queue, then it is possible that execution unit may has to wait for the next instruction. That's why operation will delay. That's why instruction queue helps in performing the operation in optimum speed, in good speed. That is the task of this instruction queue. Okay, so this operation of placing new instruction in instruction queue, this operation is called instruction preface. This operation is called instruction preface. I mean, prefacing the instruction beforehand and placing them in the instruction queue, that is called instruction preface. So you can say this operation is called instruction preface. It is also in the book, just study from the book. This instruction is called instruction preface. It has another name that is called pipelining. Instruction preface pipelining. Okay. And okay, so if you want to express this in diagram, okay, this diagram also given in the book. BIU actually fetch the instruction. Fetch means it brings the instruction from outside, from input devices to the processor. So BIU fetch the instruction, so you can write fetch. Okay, after fetching the instruction, this instruction goes to execution unit, and execution unit performs the instruction. So this is called instruction preface or pipelining. Okay. Execution unit performs the instruction, or you can say execute. Execute. And if it cannot fetch BIU, if BIU next delay in facing the instruction, then execution unit has to wait, right? So it has to wait if there is delay in facing the instruction in that case. So this is BIU here. This is CU here, that is the execution unit, that is the performing the operation, and it face then perform execute. If there is no facing, that's why it is waiting here, waiting. And when it face, then it perform execute. When it face, it can execute. But if it does not face, then it has to wait. So that's why instructional preface is important. Okay, so instruction preface, when the instructional preface, those are stored in instruction queue, right? So let's talk about instruction queue a little bit more. This is the diagram of instruction queue. There are 6 bytes of data stored here. 6 bytes, okay, 6 bytes. 6 byte. Okay, so what is instruction queue? Instruction queue. So instruction queue is nothing but set of internal memory. Okay, set of internal memory that is inside the bus interface unit. The instruction are transferred to the instruction queue and placed there. So you can say 6 location of memory inside the processor, which is used for holding 6 consecutive data. Okay, you can say what is instruction queue? 6 location. 6 you can see here there are 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6. So 6 locations memory inside the processor which is used for holding says consecutive instruction. Okay, which are used for holding 6 consecutive instruction. Okay. In other way, you can write a set of internal memory that holds the instruction queue. Set of internal memory holds the instruction queue. The instructions transferred to the instruction queue. Transferred to the instruction queue. So instruction are transferred to the instruction queue. So I mean, why we need this thing? Why we need that instruction queue? Okay. I mean, why we need instruction queue? Why we need instruction preface? Why we need pipelining? We called up here instruction preface or pipelining. Why we need this instruction preface or pipelining, right? What is the reason for that? If we want to talk about that, then why it is required? I mean, why we need instruction preface? We already said that to perform optimum speed, the processor needs instruction preface. So U means execution unit. Execution unit of the processor is faster than the peripheral devices. What are the peripheral devices? Say, can you say what are the peripheral devices? Anybody? Say it.
Sir, I don't know, sir.
Don't know. After so
The
many
input
classes,
output device.
Output devices.
yeah, input devices, output devices. These are called peripheral devices, memory devices. So why we need instruction queue or preface? Can you say why we need instruction queue or preface? I mean, why we need instruction preface or pipelining? Why? Say why we need instruction preface or pipelining?
Sir, connect the bus interface unit and execution unit.
This preface or pipelining, we said here, right? This operation is called instruction preface or pipelining. Which operation? Which operation? U and BU are connected by internal buses while U is executing an instruction. Bus interface unit faces up to 6 bytes of next instruction and places them in the instruction queue. This operation is called pipelining or instruction preface. Why we need this pipelining or instruction preface? Okay. Okay. Let's discuss instruction preface or pipelining again. I think you are facing problem in understanding what is instruction preface or pipelining. Let's discuss it again. Instruction or pipelining. Okay, what is instruction preface or pipelining? The instruction queue. Shown queue. What instruction queue does? Instruction queue permits to store in advance specific instruction. So instruction queue permits to store in advance specific instruction that would be executed in the future. This concept is pipelining. Okay, pipelining. This concept is called instruction preface. Okay, so what is instruction preface? A technique where bus interface unit prefaces instruction for execution to use. A technique where what happens? Where DIU prefaces instruction for EU to use. Okay. In case of ERJA, how much instruction are prefaced? Can you say? In case of 8086, you already told that up to 6 bytes of instruction instructions. 6 bytes of instructions are prefaced, right? Are prefaced. processed so that you perform at optimum speed. Optimum means good. Optimum speed. So that you can perform at optimum speed. Optimum means good. Okay. So why we need instruction preface? So that execution unit can perform optimum speed. So why execution unit cannot perform optimum speed if we don't have instruction preface? Because execution unit of the processor is much faster than the peripheral devices. Execution unit of the processor is much faster than the peripheral devices. Much faster than the peripheral devices. What are the peripheral devices? IO devices, IO memory. These are peripheral devices. Okay. For any processor, not only for execution of a processor is much faster than the peripheral devices. Okay. Okay. Much faster than the peripheral devices or external devices. Peripheral devices are called also external devices. Are much faster than peripheral devices, or you can write all external devices. So devices. That's why processor face instruction beforehand. 6 bytes of instruction faces beforehand prefaced so that you can perform at optimum speed. You can perform at optimum speed. Okay, if it does not preface, then you has to wait. Look at the diagram here. You has to wait. Where is okay, yes. You has to wait here. You is waiting there. So that's why we need preface. Face BIU, face instruction, you perform instruction. So if BIU does not face, then you cannot perform. That's why BIU has to face only, then you execute. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Student 45, but how many students we have here? Only 36. Okay, let's take attendance.
Yes, sir. No more to the sir.
Okay.
কোন ক্লাসের একটু ব্রেক দেন না
Yeah, take screenshot. This one. Done?
Yes, sir.
Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Then take this one.
Yes, sir. Done.
And this one.
Done, sir.
Okay, thank you. And please study from book chapter 1. Okay? Please study from book chapter 1.
Hello, sir.
Sir. Oh, I forgot. I forgot to talk with them. Sir, problem. Today is Thursday, right? Today is Thursday. they have given a new address, but the problem is this address cannot recognize my email. So wait, money sign. Address to automation server. Oh, this is the mail, same mail. IVT. New application.
এখন আর
Okay, wait. PAT automation. I think there's it is the recent mail.